Great, let's do the show. All right, everything's recording. Perfect. I miss when we had a producer here.
Yeah, I've never had one. I've always done it behind the scenes.
It's a lot of clicking.
A lot of clicking.
David Collins.
30 minutes.
Show with David Collins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show. I'm your host, David Collins, and we have another great episode for you today. Really excited for today's guest. A lot of great games, of course, a few housekeeping items. It's been a long time since we've done a David Collins 30-minute half-hour show, I'm realizing, of course, but you can find us always every Wednesday, 6:30 a.m., Drive Time David Collins. We're continuing to do that show, of course, no hiccups, and we'll hopefully see more David Collins 30-minute half-hour shows coming up in the future. Happy Easter, everybody. Did you do anything for Easter?
Just went and ate at my mom's.
Oh, I did pretty much exactly the same thing there. I joined my mother for a nice lunch on Easter, and it was supposed to be a bit of a party. She invited all the neighbors. Nobody showed up.
Well, that ain't cool.
It was just my mom and I, and we snacked on cucumber sandwiches most of the day. That was very nice.
Yeah, we had burgers and corned beef.
Is that right? Not much of a lamb family. You had leftovers from St. Patrick's Day, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, we just we don't do much typical of this like traditional anymore. Like Thanksgiving, we go to a steakhouse.
I see.
You know? Yeah, so we just it's just me and my mom now. My dad and my brother passed away, so it's just us.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
How recent?
My brother was actually the day before Thanksgiving last year.
Oh my gosh.
And my dad was the year before that in September.
Well, that's a difficult year. Sorry to hear that.
Lost a dog, a brother, a cat, and a dad in little over a year.
Oh, a cat must be a little bit of a break. You say, thank goodness it was just a cat this time.
Well, I miss all the stuff she used to bring me on my front porch.
I see.
Birds, mice, you name it. She brought it. Kittens at one time. It was crazy. Anyway.
Well, that's nice.
She was a little murderer.
On the note of a little less of these David Collins 30-minute half-hour shows, we used to do these solo episodes, of course, and people really seemed to enjoy them. I used to like to sneak in a solo episode if I wasn't able to book a guest, so maybe we'll just start bringing in some more of those solo episodes just in case we're having difficulty booking guests with my current schedule there. We have a great show planned for you today, some great games and a great guest, but of course, before we get into that, everybody's favorite segment, Color of the Day. Today's Color of the Day, Cherry Blossom Pink. It's Easter, and often colors of Easter are bright, like yellow, sky blue, and of course, cherry blossom pink. Most likely that way, so that you can more easily find the eggs when they're hidden in brush. Made up of 255 red, 183 green, and 197 blue, today's color of the day, cherry blossom pink. Did you do any Easter egg hunts?
No, our neighbors, quote, egged our house. It's where they put a bunch of plastic eggs out in the yard. They with the church. They do it every year. So, but my kids run out and grab the Easter eggs, and that's
that works.
The Easter egg hunt we did this year.
An Easter egg cleanup.
Yeah, pretty much. We did find. I trimmed the bushes about 2 weeks ago, and we found an Easter egg in the bushes that had been there for probably 4 years.
Oh, great hider.
Yeah, hit that one well.
One last thing before we start the show today, of course. Today's sponsor of the show, Max Motors in Manhattan, Kansas.
Brought to you by Max Motors. Don't overpay on your next vehicle. Max Motors on Highway 24 in Manhattan.
Today's guest is Johnny Gates, and we're going to get right into world news with David Collins. And when I have a guest on the show and we talk about world news, I like to ask them, when you think about world news this week, what are you thinking about? Now, I've been pretty disconnected. I've been having trouble. We were looking through these stories. I say, I don't know anything that's going on in the news right now. I've been doing other things, apparently.
I've been a little busy myself. I mean, it's just the typical stuff. I can't say much worldwide. The Pope died. I saw that. Yeah,
Isn't that brand new news? The show is halfway prepped before I even saw that breaking. I said, we better get that added there. And I wanted to talk about that a little later in this segment. Of course, did you see Katy Perry and the other celebrities visiting space last week?
I did. There's a lot of controversy about that.
Right. What was your opinion there? They said Aisha Bao, Amanda Nguyen, Corrine Flynn. I don't know any of these people. Gayle King, I kind of know. Katy Perry, of course. And Lauren Sanchez all visited outer space in Jeff Bezos' plane.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked like it like they really did it. I know all the controversy is that, it was fake or publicity. I mean, publicity stuff.
Well, they certainly had some fake things on them.
Yeah, well,
If that's the controversy, I'm not really sure. I'm glad they could finally get to the bottom of which direction the avocado toast falls in space.
Yes, that's pretty funny. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to do it. You know what I mean? I'd love to go, see that view.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't think they're astronauts, like the traditional sense is called.
No, and that was another thing. I watched some people say, it's not that much to say, stop picking on these women, but when the women start calling themselves astronauts, you say, what's going on here?
Yeah, I know that. I know one astronaut, where I say one astronaut, one person that worked for NASA, and that guy, he's extremely smart, went through a lot of training and technical blah blah blah. I mean, he's never even been considered to go to space. So yeah,
has he ever been considered to host a CNBC show?
I don't think so. That either. No, he may have been considered to clean a bathroom at one point in time.
That Gayle King is very talented. Here's another story that I wanted to bring up here. I saw this African hunting accident, and I follow these pretty closely when they have to do with a buffalo or a bison. I kind of track these. You know how common people are still being attacked by buffalo and bison in this world?
No.
It's very common. In Africa, and this one, a lot of times they're in the Americas, incidentally, but this one was in Africa. In late February, this is a little old now, I guess, members of a community in Nangoma in KwaZulu-Natal were being terrorized by a buffalo that killed one man and injured two others. Did you hear about this?
I did not hear about this.
This buffalo is terrorizing this town. The family of the dead man was trying to identify where the buffalo came from and suggests that it escaped from a nearby game reserve. It's a bit of a cover-up going on in Africa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, trying to release the buffalo.
Well, they let him out, and then they say, we got to get this under control before there's a controversy. Meanwhile, this buffalo is terrorizing a small town.
Well, they just run him off a cliff like the Indians did.
Oh, that might be a good idea. You should give them that advice. If anybody has any other advice or any of these buffalo or bison stories, I kind of track them very closely. Make sure you email them to me, dc30minutehalfhour@gmail.com. Now, the only other story that I really wanted to touch base on is exactly what you mentioned, incidentally. The Pope Francis. He died at age 88, which I thought was a little risque, if you ask me.
Yeah. I can't believe that the new Pope, one of the things is he has to be under 80. You figured that number would be a lot lower.
I completely agree. I can't believe how old these popes would get, but under 80 is a good place to start. This Pope right here, he had pneumonia in both lungs when he passed away. And at age 21, he'd already had some sort of lung complication, had half of one of his lungs removed.
I did not know that.
Anyway, yeah, I bet this guy spent a lot of his life gospeling for air.
Hey!
There we go.
I thought J.D. Pants killed him. That's what the internet's saying.
Is that true?
Well, apparently the last...
I heard he died months and months and months ago, and they've been using a fake body double.
Now, I'd believe that, too.
That's what I heard. But I talked to a lot of local Iowans around here since I've been up here from Kansas. He died a day after he appeared to wish Happy Easter to worshipers. Easter Sunday, I'd give it a few days, if you know what I mean.
At least 3, right?
Right. Well, it's probably by the time this episode airs, it's going to be 3 days, though. I've been saying for a while now that they need a younger pope. So what's this thing about it has to be under 80?
Yeah, I was watching something last night, and it was saying there's a list of 38 people that are I guess the short list for the next pope, and one of the stipulations is they have
pretty
to be
long short list.
They have to be under the age of 80. And I was like, man, don't you figure that number would be lower?
Right. I think they should get a much younger pope, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe 60, 70, maybe even younger than that. I think it'd sound a little like this.
Hey, Dad, you'll never believe it. I'm the new pope.
Well, hey, wouldn't believe it, son. Do you think you could get us some Cowboys tickets?
It's a younger pope.
It is a younger pope, a younger country pope.
Right. What do you think about that? People would appreciate that.
I think so. I think it would go over well, and especially parts around here. I'm in south in North Louisiana, so a country pope would be good there, bull.
North Louisiana. Do they also call it South something else?
No, well, we are considered East Texas by a lot of people.
I see.
Because we're so far west Louisiana, and we're right here by East Texas. We're just considered East Texas.
Oh, that's interesting. So you are on the left side of the Mississippi.
Yes.
I was having a debate about this. I said, which side of the Mississippi is Louisiana on? It was the left.
Yeah, it's on the left. Yeah, it cuts down. Yeah, Mississippi runs right down the border of Mississippi.
That's topical. And that was World News with David Collins. Our guest today is a stand-up comedian, YouTuber, and broadcaster located in Louisiana. He creates shorts, sketches, and the Terrible Table podcast. As a stand-up comedian, he's performed at great venues like East Bank Theater, The Missing Link, The Corner Lounge, Lake Street Bar, The Seventh Tap, Ernie's Bar, The Tiki Bar and Grill, and many more. Please make some noise for our great guests today, Johnny Gates. And thanks so much for joining me this morning here. It is an early shoot. We usually don't. I don't think I've recorded this early for a David Collins 30-minute half-hour show in probably over a year. But it's fantastic to have you on the show. And we've met you in an unorthodox way because we found your YouTube channel for Drive Time David Collins, and I want to talk a little bit about that, of course.
I honestly thought y'all were messing with me when y'all called me that first time. I thought y'all may have been a friend of mine.
Oh, like somebody you knew personally.
Yeah, well, you've got such a great radio voice, and
well,
whenever
sweet.
you call, that first time you called, y'all actually woke me up. I thought you were one of my customers, so I just jumped up and answered the phone, and I thought y'all were messing with me for the first probably 2 minutes of the conversation.
Wow. So we called you about your Terrible Table podcast because on your Terrible Table podcast, you left a phone number on your YouTube. So we wanted to give you a call. We thought it was going to be a voicemail for your show, of course. This is a little long. Initially, it was a 4-minute conversation. We've clipped it down to under 2 minutes. So I just wanted to take a little listen to the first time that we talked to Johnny Gates on Drive Time David Collins.
So this Terrible Table podcast,
delicious.
on the description of the channel, it leaves us a phone number.
Oh, nice.
I like to break out. Yeah, you going to call him? We're calling?
Yeah, we're ending the show today.
Okay.
We're going to call
Delicious,
him
everybody.
Terrible Table podcast. Well, it's talking about the table. It looks like a nice table, too. If you're able to do that whole round with a square table, it's a big, nice table.
Can we ask about that table, too?
Yeah, so the table, the interesting side of the table is I build a bunch of furniture, and if you bear with me, what I can do is that is the original table right there.
I see. It's a nice table.
Yeah, I built it way too big, and it was kind of a mistake. Like I was being distracted by my wife when I was building it, and I made it too big. And then the guy that you see that's my co-host now, his name's Chris Luker. He's a local comic as well. He came over, and the first time we met each other, he within 5 minutes of meeting him, he insults me and tells me that my table is terrible. And I was like,
wow, that's
actually a great name. So it stuck, and then I built a new table, which you can't really see.
Well, you're from a strange part of the country where they're able to give opinions on the tables there. I think in any other part of the world, that's a nice table.
Yeah, no, it was it really is a nice table. I had it completely wired for everything, and the only reason why I really took it down is because we were doing too many people at one time when we were I could fit like 14 people at that table.
Wow. How many microphones?
I have 9 total is what I had hooked up to it at one point in time. And then we were just, we were doing.
Boy, I haven't done a David Collins 30-minute half-hour show in so long. We're really running out of time. Let's continue this clip.
Nice table. Let me give them a call here. I imagine it's a voicemail that, though. I don't think. Oh, they're in Louisiana.
Oh, nice. Louisiana. I was going to say they got an accent.
Can you hear that all right?
I like them accents.
There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I thought this was a voicemail for your show. I was going to leave a voicemail for the show. This is David Collins of Drive Time David Collins and David Collins 30-minute half-hour show, formerly 101.5 K-Rock KMKF in Manhattan, Kansas. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Who am I speaking with this morning? I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
My name is Johnny Gates.
Johnny Gates.
Right.
We were checking out your show suggested by a fan, the Terrible Table podcast, so we were looking a little at that.
What can I do for you?
Oh, well, like I said, we thought we were just leaving you a voicemail. We just wanted to let you know that we're watching the show eagerly.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it. Which episode are you on?
The most recent.
Yeah, we're and on top of that, we're not any good at it. So,
certainly. Well, I've been doing radio since I was 18, so I can understand. You know, if you're a little, what's the word? New. Anyway,
definitely got a cool name.
Can you hear Delicious in the background there? We have a man here named Delicious.
I can hear. What's up, D?
Hey, Johnny Gates.
That is a dope name. That's a dope name.
I like saying it. Just rolls off good. And you got a cool accent, man. You got that twang.
Johnny Gates, everybody. And we had Delicious on the show, of course. That was great. But you seem to fit right in with that crew.
Yeah, I couldn't call him delicious. I had to call him D. You know, there's that old joke: you never call a grown man delicious.
Oh, is that an old joke? It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a old like Kings of Comedy bit.
Wow. And that's funny that you say that. The first time we heard that delicious was going to be coming around, we said, oh, this must be a black man. Or a black woman, actually. It was most people's guess. But it turned out it was a man with glitter in his hair. Very kind enough. Spent a lot of time with delicious.
Hate glitter.
Really?
Yeah, it's the herpes of craft supplies.
We usually prefer people don't do the material on the show, but that's an interesting line. Did you write that?
I don't know if I wrote that or if I heard that from somebody else, but
right. Well, I forget you're in the Louisiana there. You have all these sayings I'm sure I haven't heard before. There's one segment that I wanted to get into. Of course, like I said, we want to get into our first game here pretty soon, but I wanted to jump into one thing that I wanted to take care of here. David Collins red cards. And I'm hoping you have a red card to hand out today because I certainly have a few. This first red card I wanted to hand out today are for people who leave the bathroom filled with water after they use it. Are you running into this at all?
What do you mean by filled?
Well, somebody takes a shower, you walk in there and you say, where's all this water come from? It's on the floor, it's on the sink. What's going on in there?
Yes, I have that quite a bit. Walking there with socks on, your feet are wet now.
Certainly.
Nothing worse.
People like that and your children there might get a red card this week.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have? How many kids was that? You said 2?
I've got 3.
3. That's a good number. It's a lucky number.
Yeah. China's got it right. Stop at 1.
I see. Well, a second red card here. I think they changed that law also.
Oh, did they?
They had too few people. I think they changed it in 2018. A second red card here goes to people who park too far forward in a parking space, whether it's over a sidewalk or into the next spot. All those people get a red card. What's with your depth perception? Are you a cyclops or something?
I hate that.
People who park too far in a parking space. And the third red card here is a little more personal. It goes out to Walmart, Staples, and any else that tries to sell electronics devices in eastern Iowa here. I ran around all town for 2 days, basically, looking for an XLR cable, a couple of adapters, an extender. I had to go to 6 stores, some of them 3 times, before I found somebody that could help me. Electronics stores in eastern Iowa here get a red card this week.
Where are the Radio Shacks? We need more Radio Shacks.
That's exactly right. I did some Googling. Don't even get me started on these Radio Shacks, to be honest here. So tell me about your Terrible Table podcast. You talked a little about the table there, but have you been doing a lot of broadcasting? What made you want to start a show? Because I started a show. I got fired from radio a few years ago, and after a bit of a break of depression, I said, I better start doing something on my own.
I heard that. Now, I wanted to do a podcast since about 2015 something. Well, I originally wanted to do camping, and the guys that I used to go hiking and camping with they were not interested in it whatsoever. And then I tried stand up, and me and one of the comics were talking, and he was like, I want to do a podcast. And I was like, I got the studio for it. You know what I mean? And he was like, well, certainly do. Yeah. And that was the original podcast title was my podcast, His Man Cave, because it was one of the comics podcasts, but at my man cave.
Well, that's a good premise. You guys just riff, or what's the kind of idea of the show?
There's never really been a true identity, which has been our problem the entire time. Is we have no direction. We've never really done anything but just sit down and talk.
Certainly, you have a live phone number, and you don't even expect the calls.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, that's my phone. I've had that same phone number since 2003. So,
oh gosh, you're taking a big risk putting in the ether like that.
Man, my number. I've managed a few different businesses here in town that were customer service based, and I mean, there's 200,000 people in this area, and I bet 110,000 of them have my damn phone number.
Wow.
I don't care. I answer it when it rings.
And I want to hear more about your podcasts and your broadcasting there, especially that phone number. I'm really interested because we kind of do the same thing, but with an email. But that sound means it is time for our first game, and I'm excited. I apologize. We don't really have too much geared specifically to you, but this is an old fan favorite, of course. This game is called What Dead Guy Is Dan Doing? We're going to listen to an impression by friend of the show, Dan McCullough, and you're going to have to tell me what dead guy is Dan doing. And anybody playing at home, make sure you email me your answers, dc30minutehalfhour@gmail.com. Johnny Gates, are you ready to play? What dead guy is Dan doing?
I'm ready.
That's perfect. Why don't we jump into round 1 here? Boy, this is one of my favorite games. I hope I have the answers in front of me, or I can remember them, because I'm noticing they're not directly in front of me right now. But let's jump into round 1 here. What dead guy is Dan doing?
You are watching David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show. God bless you.
What dead guy is Dan doing?
It almost sounds like he's trying to do the whoever. I don't know the guy's name, but the "You shall not pass."
Oh, did he die? Ian McKellen.
Is that his name?
I'm not sure. Would you like to lock that in?
I'm going to lock that in.
I'm sorry. The answer there was Pope Francis.
Oh,
really got it under the wire there, but of course that was
okay.
It was a fine impression by Dan McCullough there. Do you like this game?
I do so far. Good to go.
Perfect. Why don't we jump into round 2 here? What dead guy is Dan doing?
Well, you're watching David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show.
What dead guy is Dan doing? I'll narrow it down here. A little clue. Of course, the man that he's doing an impression of has since passed away.
Clearly. It's in the title of the game.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I thought this might be a little more geared towards you here. That was, of course, not a person that you gave us. The answer was Toby Keith.
Oh, I didn't know Toby Keith was dead.
Did you not know that?
No.
I'm not sure if he died before or after the Pope, but I think it was recent.
That's the "we'll put a boot in your ass" guy, right? Country singer.
To be honest, I think I'd be reaching out to you to be the expert on Toby Keith here.
Yeah.
East
Solo
Texas, you said. Isn't Toby Keith a Texas boy?
I think so. It might be from right over there, like Tyler, Longview area.
I see. Oh, do you know Tyler Meyerhoff?
No, I don't. Their name doesn't sound familiar.
Maybe a different Tyler there. Why don't we jump into round
Tyler,
3?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know his last name, so maybe I do know him.
Wow. What dead guy is Dan doing?
All right.
Well, howdy, partner. You're watching David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show. Pilgrim.
What dead guy is Dan doing?
Is that supposed to be John Wayne? Hey,
that's exactly right. We got a correct answer there. That was John Wayne. What do you think about Dan's impressions? Of course, he also did that impression earlier in the show when we talked about a young pope. We have a few Dan McCullough impressions today. People are missing out.
But they're about as terrible as my table, man.
Uh-oh. Oh, well, you have a great table, though. That's a nice compliment. Stand-up comedy in Louisiana. Now, I'm up here in the eastern Iowa area, of course. I'm from Manhattan, Kansas originally, but I don't know much about the comedy scene down there. I started getting into it and learning more about it when I came up to Iowa a few years ago. And there's quite a scene up in eastern Iowa, but it's very spread apart. Is that kind of what it's like there in Louisiana? I imagine it's a lot of scattered small towns. Am I incorrect?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Our comedy scene in Louisiana is kind of sprawled apart. Yeah.
Couple hours. What are the open mics like? Are you going to open mics? Are you getting booked on shows? To be honest, Johnny Gates, excuse me, I'm not even sure what level of stand-up comedy you're kind of performing in. I was surprised kind of looking into your credits. I was not seeing you promoting as many shows as I had anticipated.
Yeah, so I'd still consider myself open mic. I'm more of a behind-the-scenes guy with this comedy scene up here with the
right.
Don't take this serious comedy.
Do you produce shows?
We do. We produce shows, and we do the open mic at the Tiki Bar every week. About every 6 weeks, it's a showcase, and then about once a quarter, we do in the East Bank Theater over in Bossier, Louisiana. We do
Bossier. Sounds fancy.
Do comedy shows. Bossier, if you're reading it, a lot of people get it wrong. But like we have on May 10th, I am doing a show, the Stone Drunk Sober show here in town.
Great.
It's 2 stoned, 2 drunk, 2 sober comics compete, and I'm one of the 2 stoned comics. So
sound like it's kind of an advantage there.
Yeah, a little bit, especially with this drawer full of edibles I got over here.
What was the third one? Is you have to be drunk or stoned or what?
Drunk, stoned, sober. It's something. The Lafayette, there's a comedy club out of Lafayette that I think they started this, if I remember correctly.
Are recovering alcoholics allowed to participate? Because they would kind of take away with the sober thing. Some people say, oh, I'm a little nervous if I'm performing sober. Do you have any routine before you go on stage? Some people like to maybe take a shot or a few. Robert Wallace, I asked once, I said, some people like to have a beer before they go on stage. He says, I don't drink. Except before I came here, I had 3 shots of Fireball. So I don't drink. Type of routine.
Yeah, I don't. The only routine I really have is I don't eat. I'm always afraid that I'm going to get up there and throw up.
I see. Has that ever happened?
No, but the first couple of times I got on stage, I felt like I was a lot closer to throwing up on stage than I wanted to.
Wow. Did you run a lot before you got on stage or something? I've never had that feeling.
I just got nervous. My nerves hit me. Even now, I mean, I've done quite a bit. Like I said, I still consider myself an open micer.
Right.
Because, I don't have the most time to devote to doing stand up. My job and my kids get in the way quite a bit.
Do we see a lot of musical comedy down there?
No.
I'm a big fan of musical comedy. I used to ask this to all my guests. I said, did you start by doing musical comedy? Surprisingly, a lot of people did start. They say, I'm going to go up there with a guitar, and they do a little thing, and then they start actually getting into stand-up comedy. Is that a lot of people you see down there?
I have not seen any music comics from our little area down here.
It must be a small town thing or something, because I noticed that up in eastern Iowa. We don't have any of that. There was the lightning, everybody, if you caught that. It's pretty exciting outside this morning. But we don't have a lot of the musical comedians in this area that I noticed. And then I talked to people in Denver or in Boston or something, and they say, oh, there's all these musical comedians everywhere.
No, I don't see them around here. And I say grew up, but I mean, from my 19 to, a few years ago, I was a big Bob and Tom guy.
I see.
Is a lot of music comedy.
Of course.
And I enjoy it, but we don't see, I can play the drums, but I don't think that's a get on stage and tell comedy with the drums.
Well, it'd be unique. You'd be setting yourself apart. Your name's Johnny Gates. Speaking of setting yourself apart there, I wanted to jump into our next segment.
People with the same name.
People with the same name. And I wanted to play some of his music, but I think we're running a little out of time for that. But people with the same name, of course, Johnny Gates, a musician, singer-songwriter out of Nashville. He's over 5,000 subscribers on Twitter and 12,000 followers on Instagram. Johnny Gates, the musician. Do you follow him?
I do not. I've only seen one other person with the name Johnny Gates, and he lives in like Houston or something.
Oh, well, you're all next to each other. That's interesting. You should have a convention or something.
Yeah.
Johnny Gates. Is that a little difficult? Do you have any difficulty? I noticed that your comedy, do you promote yourself as Jonathan Gates? I think Johnny Gates.
No, that's just my Facebook. I set my Facebook up a long time ago. It's my legal name is Jonathan.
Where can people follow you? Instagram? Is that where?
So yeah, I do have an Instagram, and it's I think it's all under his Man Cave Productions. Is what everything used to be.
I
and
see.
Then we changed it to the Terrible Table, and I'm just not any good at any of this stuff as far as updating and promoting.
But you stick with the podcast. You say, there's enough of these stand-up comedians out there. I'll just promote the show.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I try to do, and have the guys that come on the show promote the show, and
right.
We're just having fun is all it really is.
Oh, well, that's perfect. We enjoy, these David Collins 30-minute hour shows. Of course, I think it's interesting, and we get to talk with a variety of people. But we do Drive Time David Collins every 6:30 a.m., and we get a range of different comedians coming in as a second or third mic as we do those shows and go through the topics. And boy, how fun is that?
Yeah,
we really enjoy it. I wanted to ask you, and I think this is important. I ask people, a lot of people about this. How do you write your material?
So a lot of my material comes from just my everyday life.
Right.
And then I indulge from there.
Do you write it in a notebook?
I usually do use the notes on my cell phone.
On the phone. I once was talking with a comedian. He said that, or I was listening to a comedian, rather. He was talking to somebody else, and I was eavesdropping. But he said, writing in a notebook is like an archaeologist digging for bones.
Okay.
You're writing it out, and you get a full feel for it, like an explorer.
Yeah, I didn't like writing it out whenever I tried that.
I see.
Yeah, I tried writing it out, and I also tried doing it like for preparation for doing stand-up, writing it out. And what I found is I was too busy worried about what did I write down versus just performing.
Right.
And I was trying to recite word for word what I wrote down, and whenever I got it wrong,
well, that's exactly what I do. I recite it word for word. I'm very stiff.
Yeah, no, I can't do it that way.
You look like you may be a physical comedian. Am I accurate?
No, I'm too fat to do anything physical.
Well, that might be where I'm getting at, though. It might be a large body type. I think of somebody like Chris Farley, who's a larger gentleman to his detriment, but he was very physical.
Yeah, no, I'm not much of a physical comic at all. No.
I see. So you have your phone number on your page. We do something very similar. We're going to jump into our next segment here.
What are you doing?
I'm emailing David Collins.
Because we take emails on the show, and if anybody does want to send an email to the show, make sure you email me, dc30minutehalfhour@gmail.com. And like I said when I called you, people have my phone number, and I take their call all the time, but I would never want to give it out on the air like that. It'd be a little risky.
Yeah, I don't 318-655-6216. I don't care.
And he will answer, everybody, and then he'll do your show.
Yeah, I sure will. What is it? That's how I answer my phone. Yes, I'm available. I'll do it.
Our first email here comes in from Johnny O. And maybe you could do Johnny O's podcast. He does a show in Eastern Iowa, but he ranges. He had the Tiger King on. He had the QAnon Shaman. He has a range of guests and local comedians often. Johnny O emailed the show, though, and he says he also owned a comedy club here very briefly before it was stripped away from him.
Oh, man.
Johnny O, hello, David. Watching your current episode on YouTube. I just wanted to let you know I was once the bag boy champion, was offered to compete in the world champions at the Mall of America, but got banned for doping. It was total BS. Johnny O, the Johnny O podcast. We were talking about grocery stores.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I knew they had changing tire competitions. I had a friend of mine be a national champion of changing tires.
That's a good one. That's practical.
What's that?
That's very practical.
Yeah, he held the world record or something crazy like that for fastest tire change off.
Wow.
Taking a tire off a rim and putting it back on.
I once knew the man that had the world record for kicking himself in the head more times than anybody else in the world in 60 seconds.
That's a world record.
It's a bit of a side kick, and it looks very silly, but after 60 seconds, you say, oh, this is impressive.
Yeah, well, okay. I'd have to see that.
Everybody has a world record. I juggle. No records there, but I follow some of the world records in juggling. Big fan of world records. Our next email here comes in from Matt O'Daniels, and I lost my co-host here, and it was a little more about sports, so maybe you could help me with Matt O'Daniels' question here. Good morning, David. With 420 approaching, do you have any set plans to celebrate? I suspect Troy Rigdon would lead the festivities. Does Matt like the new coach hire for Iowa's men's basketball with Ben McCullum? When is a car door not a car door? When it's ajar. Sincerely, Matt O'Daniels from Clover, South Carolina. Oh, excuse me.
I love that jokes.
Of course, when a car door is not a door. But who's this Ben McCullum? Do you have anything to comment on that? Iowa's men's basketball coach?
No, I'm not a basketball guy. I'm not a huge sports guy anymore, but no, I don't know who that is.
Right.
He must be some sort of a stoner.
Maybe.
Based on 420 and all that.
Matt O'Daniels, everybody, though, he won top fan last year. We do an award show at the end of the year.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's perfect. Then we just had one voicemail that I wanted to touch base on here from friend of the show, Austin Ingalls. Do you know Austin Ingalls? Do you ever visit Austin, Texas?
I have, but it's been quite some time, so I do not know Mr. Austin Ingalls.
I see. Well, if you visit there again, reach out to me. I'd love to give you a couple of names of friendly comedians I could just make sure that you're introduced to while you're there. But let's take a little listen to Austin Ingalls this morning.
Rest in peace, George Foreman.
Right.
The first time I ever cooked chicken was on one of those, which kind of feels slightly racist, but rest in peace.
Austin Ingalls, everybody. That's true. George Foreman passed away. We didn't even talk about that. Maybe that would have been a good dead guy Dan could have done.
Yeah.
What does George Foreman sound like?
I keep thinking of Charles Barkley, but I don't think I can do. I'm not good at impressions.
Oh, it's kind of like his Hank Hill.
No, damn it, Bobby.
George Foreman, everybody. Well, that's perfect. Do you do any impressions?
Not really. No.
Interesting.
I can do the local on the now. You're local on the 8s. That's about it.
I see. Well, that's good for your show.
Yeah.
I do one impression. Do you want to see my one impression?
Sure.
This is Mark Norman as a scientist. Gravity.
Gravity.
That's my one impression. Yeah, go ahead and do that at home, everybody. Try it around the dinner table.
Yeah, you nailed that one.
Of course, that sound means it is time for our second and last game today. Another crowd favorite, although a special edition of it. Today's second game today is Finish the Punchline, Richard Jenny edition. So we're going to start out a joke, and you're going to have to finish that punchline and wrap up the joke for that comedian, and then we'll see if you nailed that punchline there. But we got a little twist here. We've done this with Ronnie Dangerfield edition, of course. This is Richard Jenny edition, so all the jokes are Richard Jenny. Are you ready to play Finish the Punchline?
All right, I'll try.
And I'll be ready to drink some water after this show. Boy, is my throat dry. Good morning, everybody. Well, I guess it's a different show here. I don't know, you could be watching this at any time of the day. Let's jump into round one here of Finish the Punchline. Joke one. I'm a New York guy. I just got back from there, performing. That was fun. Then day after that, I went up to Canada. Canada's just like New York backwards, isn't it? You go up there, everybody's going, how's it going, eh? Then you get back to New York, blank. What do you think that joke... Finish that punchline. Everybody's going, how's it going, eh? Then you get back to New York.
And they're like, fuck you? I don't know.
Right. So let's take a little listen to Richard Jenny.
I got it. I just came back from there performing. That was fun. And then after that, I went up to Canada. Canada's just like New York backwards, isn't it? You go up there, everybody's going, how's it going, eh? Then you go back to New York and the people, hey, how's it going? It's like the same thing.
Obvious, yeah.
Hey, get off the car. Get off the car, eh? It's like the same thing.
Richard Jenny. What a comedian. Do you follow any of his comedy?
I have not seen anything in a while, but my dad was a big fan of his.
Interesting. Well, he got a little political in his older age there, but who doesn't, it seems like.
Yeah.
Hey, do you follow the Blind Mike Project?
The Blind Mike Project?
Right. He's the one who gave me the idea for Richard. He did a video documentary on Richard Jenny recently, and I said, oh, that's a comedian that we could use for the show.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that.
Why don't we jump into Finish the Punchline, round 2, Richard Jenny edition.
Come on.
If you were on a date with Manson, you'd know right in the restaurant this was going to be an early night. You'd be right at your table going, this guy is a maniac. Why is he buttering the back of his chair? He just asked for the children's menu and blank. Asked for the children's menu and blank. What do you think that is? Manson, of course, buttering the back of his chair, asked for a children's menu and blank.
I feel like I'm a dud. I don't know. I don't know.
Why don't we jump into that answer here?
If you were on a date with Manson, you'd know right in the restaurant this is going to be an early night. You'd be right at your table going, this guy is a maniac. Why is he buttering the back of his chair?
Now, this guy's a physical comedian.
He just asked for the children's menu and ordered a child.
Ordered a child.
Yeah.
Asked for the children's menu and ordered a child.
All right.
One thing you notice about Richard Jenny's comedy, if you listen to enough of it, not a lot of big pops. A lot of quick, light jokes that skip you like a rock, but you never pop, really. It's interesting. That's my opinion, but I think he's very funny. Do you like this game?
So far, so good. Yeah.
Finish the punchline.
I'm not even good at it, but I like it.
Compared to that first game, what Dead Guy is Dan doing, which one do you think is your favorite?
I like this one a little bit better because the Dead Guys, depending on how good he is at his impression.
Certainly.
To be honest with you, they all three kind of sounded the same.
Uh-oh. Well, he's not going to like the sound of that. At least they sounded different than Hank Hill, though.
Yes, they did definitely sound different than Hank Hill.
That's perfect. Well, I like this game, too, but don't tell anybody. Joke 3 here. Why don't we jump into Finish the Punchline, round 3.
All right.
You have kids, lady? Me neither. Imagine. By the way, this is from a special. He's doing crowd work in a special. What a strange HBO special. But you have kids, lady? Me neither. People ask me, you have kids? I say, whoa, I don't even have blank. I don't even have blank.
Herpes.
What do you think that answer might be? Do you have kids? I don't even have blank.
Do I have kids? I don't even have, like I said, herpes. I don't know.
I'm sorry, that was not the correct answer. Why don't we take a little listen to Richard Jenny?
Well, howdy, partner.
Oh, that's the wrong game.
Any kids, lady? Me neither. People ask me, you have kids? And I go, whoa, I don't even have real plants. Back off.
That's actually a good joke.
I don't even have real plants.
You have kids?
Yeah.
And then he goes, he's doing more crowd work after this. This is a crazy special. Richard Jenny, everybody.
Special.
Oh, isn't it? Do you watch a lot of comedy specials?
I do, but it's the newer ones. So
certainly. Well, that's perfect. We have reached the end of our show there. Johnny Gates, thanks so much for doing David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show today. I hope that you've enjoyed your time. Did you enjoy your time today?
Man, I enjoyed my time. I hope I've been a decent guest.
Wonderful.
I appreciate
Very handsome guest, too, Johnny Gates. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great day. Everybody else, I hope you have a great day also. Thanks very much. I appreciate that we did an episode, and I hope everybody felt the same way. We're all together here. Check out Drive Time David Collins every 6:30 a.m. on Wednesday there, and check out the Terrible Table podcast. What's your release schedule? How do you manage that?
I typically release them on Wednesday mornings. A food truck owner here in town. Her name's Jenny with Demented Desserts and Coffee. she brought us some food, and
Nice.
we hung out and chatted with her for a little while. So that's this week's episode.
Perfect. Well, we'll be looking forward to it. Boy, what a great episode. That's perfect. Everybody listening, I've been David Collins, and you've been the best.
David Collins.
30 minutes. Show with David Collins.